Thank you and welcome again to our final episode of the Michael Eure Show for the spring semester. Great guest today. I'm so excited. Someone that is not just full of knowledge, but also wisdom, Mr. Clarence Williams. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Well, I was born in Raleigh, raised in, because I was born in 1950, so I was raised in segregated Raleigh.
Okay.
I went to school here, graduated from Ligon High School.
Okay.
And went to St. Augustine's College.
All right. Well, that is going to be some more interesting things that we talk about. We got a lot to talk to you about, though. Tell us, how did you become, because you are an Emmy Award-winning producer for WRAL, but how did you become interested in working with television? And how did you get the job at 15 years old?
I was in high school, and one of my counselors was Dr. Robert Bridges, who went on to become superintendent of Wake County School. Where he was in a program where he would try to find after-school jobs and from school to career programs. And he asked me, he said, what do you want to do? And I told him that I thought television was interesting. I was always fascinated by it and wanted to be involved. It was in this, it wasn't in its infancy because it was 1966.
Okay.
And I was in the 10th grade.
Okay.
And he thought that I might be a good candidate, so he approached some people at the TV station, and they hired me.
Okay. Well, we're going to come back later and talk about some of the things you did there and how they built up. I'm going to jump all the way over to your military, because you were in the military and you took a special trip back to Vietnam.
I
you
did.
And Paul Pope and another gentleman.
Leonard Peoples.
Mm-hmm. And I think David Crabtree did a very big special. Tell us about that trip. What was it like?
It was, I guess it was surreal. Each of us had our individual reasons for going, and each of us, it impacted us individually, I assume kind of differently.
Okay.
But collectively, the three of us sort of had the same feeling once we landed in Saigon, now called Ho Chi Minh City, because I had never been to Saigon before.
Okay.
And I don't think either of them had also. Leonard Peoples, who we all worked at the TV station together. Leonard started there prior to my work in there. And we went to the same high school. Leonard was a few years older than I am. And he had already been involved, and I knew about him but didn't know him well. But he did 2 tours as a Marine in Vietnam. And Paul had done a tour in Vietnam. And as did my dad. My dad was in Vietnam twice in 2 tours. My
That
dad
was a long war.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was. My dad was in World War II career and 2 tours in Vietnam, decorated in each one. So it was kind of big shoes to fill.
All right.
But anyway, I thought about, he died in 1990, and I'd always wanted to go back. It was always a beautiful place. It was sort of war-torn during the period that we were all there, but it was beautiful. The people were fascinating to me, and I always wanted to go back. I needed to go back just to sort of pray and celebrate the people I knew that we had lost, and I guess the word would be closure. I needed some closure.
All right. And I know you were involved with Millie VC. She was also a St. Augustine graduate, right?
Yeah.
And she was, tell us, the organization.
She was in the Post 154, the American Legion.
Okay.
And I got involved with that. Very few, most of the members when I joined were World War II and Korean vets. Most of them, unfortunately, passed on. Very few Vietnam era people or post-Vietnam or even the Gulf War people were involved in that post.
Okay.
And I thought it would be good for me to join and get involved.
Okay.
One, to help fellow veterans, and two, to carry on the legacy of that post from Charles Norwood, who it was named after. He was the first black in World War I to die from Raleigh.
Okay. Well, you have a lot of history, and we're going to definitely connect you to our Veterans Affairs area before you leave today. I'll
That's
make sure I
fine.
walk you over there.
That's fine.
And you can come deal with our students. And thank you for your service. In the community, I know we're jumping through. We got a lot of questions,
That's fine.
and you have so many good things to share with us. You're involved in a lot of service and community outreach efforts. Tell us about some of those.
One of my primary, in fact, I try to get out and do some work at least twice a week now, is the Interfaith Food Shuttle.
Okay.
This makes my 26th year being involved. I've been everything from a truck driver to a board member. And it's something that I believed in for years. Whenever you have visited, in the military, I was in South America and Haiti. I couldn't imagine. I hope to get back there sometime. Couldn't imagine what it happened to Haiti after the earthquake, but Haiti was just dirt poor back in the 70s. It was horrible. And the people, and you saw people who literally didn't have enough to eat. And then you fast forward to Vietnam and seeing people, their kids in the countryside. Even though the country's lush and you can grow almost anything, there were people who were food deprived. Okay. And so I became interested in helping people eat.
Okay. And we have a question from the audience, I believe.
Yeah, we want to know about, you said you grew up in segregated Raleigh.
Yes.
Can you,
talk about what it was like?
None of us know anything about that. So could you tell us
Well,
about that?
it seems so real, and it seems odd now because my children would not even identify with that. Of course, they read it in history books, but I remember as a kid going downtown shopping with my mother, and being the kind of kid I was in a department store. They had what was called colored and white water fountains.
Wow.
And I would venture in and go drink from the white water fountain because I wanted to see if that water tastes different.
Wow.
It didn't.
Okay.
Wow. The bathrooms were, of course, separate, and eating was separate. During that period, it really didn't affect me because I lived in Southeast Raleigh. Everything that I needed was provided for me in Southeast Raleigh. There were people in my neighborhood that were trash collectors, all the way to college professors, PhDs,
Right.
that served St. Augustine's and Shaw, and Tuskegee Airmen.
Right.
The whole cross section of people economically,
Right.
It didn't factor in.
Okay.
So it was an interesting time that didn't affect me. Of course, we would see things on TV. My brother, as a teenager, my older brother, I remember the impact it had on our family because he went downtown with other church members and picketed the Sawalta Hotel and was arrested.
Right.
And the turmoil that it went on in my household because he was arrested, and I wanted to go down and protest too, but I was too young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know Ligon has put out a lot of great people. You're one. Sean St. Aug, very involved in the civil rights movement in Raleigh. But we're going to come back because you're involved in a whole lot of things, and we're going to go to Dorothea Dix, and they're going to kind of update it as a destination park, and you're advocating for the African American Cultural Complex to be located
I am
there.
indeed.
Okay.
African American Cultural Complex has been in existence for a number of years. It was primarily self-funded by Dr. Palmer and his
Yes.
wife, and he literally built it in his backyard, and it grew to being a destination
Oh, yes.
place for a lot of people and kids coming to Raleigh to visit. It taught me a lot about history as an adult. I thought I was sort of
Oh, yes.
knew a lot about Raleigh
And the
history of
Amistad,
Raleigh.
I remember
Oh,
going
yeah,
to
the
see
Amistad
that.
played
Yes,
there.
yes.
Well, anyway, that property has been encroached on because of the value of the land. His long-range plan was to purchase the property adjacent to his house on
Right.
Sunnybrook. And because of the Wait Med
Med.
complex,
Yes.
all the land prices shot up, and now there are doctors and dentist office on both sides of this property. And the construction of that road, he told me when he first moved there, that road, Sunnybrook, didn't exist.
Wow.
So with the erosion from the construction and the encroachment of his land, so he's landlocked, we thought that it would be good to move that facility to a permanent place. And of course, Dr. Palmer and his wife were advancing in age. So for their legacy and for the education and history
Oh, yes.
of the people in this area and the region,
Yes.
I thought we should move it to
I agree.
Dick's property.
And
they
Dr. Palmer is an awesome fellow because he was the first executive director of the Integrated State Teachers Organization.
Absolutely.
So that's a big deal.
he's a very
Yes.
fascinating man.
And I'm glad to know that you're doing that. And how could the audience, if they're interested in kind of helping or being involved, is there a way for them to do that?
Yeah, they need to express to the city of Raleigh that their desire to, the park is going to be fascinating in so many aspects, but they need to express to the city of Raleigh their desire to have that located on that property. There are a lot of buildings there, some of which will be demolished, some of which we could retrofit and move the museum into them. I probably, in walking around the campus of Dick's,
Oh, yeah.
I could probably identify some buildings for them.
And when you talked about the current location of the complex, which is really very close to Waits Tech's Perry Health Science
It
Campus.
is indeed right down the street.
So let me ask you, because I know you're connected to Wait Tech and you've been involved in a number of ways. Can you tell us some of the people you know or some of the things you've done here with the school?
Well, I'm on this beautiful campus, which is fascinating, and you toured me about a year or so ago on this campus. I'm fascinated by the growth of this particular campus, the original campus out on 401, and the other campuses.
Right.
I remember meeting Dr. Scott. I worked on the advisory board for Wake Tech for a period. And I remember meeting Dr. Scott and his vision for this campus.
Right. Before it was even here.
Before it was even
This is the
here.
Northern Wake campus for
And-
you who don't know.
and,
Go ahead.
You know, he was a fascinating man then and now.
Wow.
And to see how he shepherded the growth of this campus, it's just nothing short of a miracle. Plus, I think I'm a big believer in the programs here because particularly now when you see that the people in traditional school settings just leave school with such massive debts.
Right.
That's so unfortunate. I believe if you could come through a program, some of the programs here at Wake Tech, you could alleviate some of that mountain of debt you're going to be faced with after
I agree. And it's a good seamless transfer.
Oh,
to 4-year
absolutely.
schools
It's a
if you
great
want that.
way to transfer.
And the skilled trades, applied engineering, wonderful careers in those.
Absolutely.
And you can make the same amount of money as some people with masters and doctorates. So, you know, that's a really
Absolutely.
something to pay attention to.
Indeed.
We have another.
We have another question from the audience. Go ahead.
Yeah. Going back to, you were talking about growing up in the Southeast Raleigh, and the community had everything you needed, and people from doctors and lawyers all the way down to the bricklayer lived in that community. And what the student wants to know, when desegregation sort of became the norm, did that change the flavor of the Southeast community? Did people use that as an excuse to go other places? Has that changed?
It did indeed. Now, I went because I did some post work in other schools, but I went to St. Augustine. I take Shaw University.
Okay.
Fed was the traditional black schools.
Right.
And that changed because when the other schools became open to accepting students
Of
from
color.
all races,
Right.
then that afforded them the opportunity to go to other places. So that changed the community in a sense where everybody kind of stayed at home, being home in the family of black schools.
Right.
We broadened our thing, which was good. We were paying the taxes for it anyway, so we might as well take advantage of that.
And unfortunately, separate is never equal.
Oh, separate is absolutely not equal.
Go ahead.
The neighborhoods themselves were where you can see the long-term effect of gentrification now. That is good and bad. And job opportunities were broadened when the neighborhoods changed and more civil rights were afforded us.
Okay. Well, and I think that we are moving in a great direction, and I like the idea of going back to the historical pieces, but also moving forward.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go to.
One question, Takiria Wade wanted to know, Holding College, was that named after the Holding family?
I think it was. I don't know the history of it. My father, at the conclusion of his military career, I guess he was a lifelong learner.
Right.
Went to what would have been called Holden Tech.
Yeah, W.W. Holden Institute. I remember
yeah.
that. Yes.
And it evolved into Wait Tech.
Yes.
And what a great evolution it's become too.
Oh.
This is great educational facility now.
Okay. Yes, that was a good question. Several years ago, during an interview at WRAL, I had the chance to meet you. I was with Emily Grant, and we were talking about the statewide kickoff to Black History Month. Afterwards, you became involved with us and
Yes.
involved with the committees. What were some of your favorite shows to produce at the station? And do you find yourself connecting after certain shows, or were we just very fortunate?
Well, I always had a keen interest in history. My degree, by the way, is in accounting.
Oh, okay.
Never did a day of accounting in my life, and wouldn't. You don't
Wow.
want me to do your tax. And I, of course, television was always in my blood, and so I had an opportunity to work from everything from work running camera on Monday Night Football. This is going to date me when Howard Cosell was there.
Oh, yeah.
And I worked for ABC as an independent cameraman. Did my favorite shows, I did a lot of sports, either as starting off working on camera and then directing, TD and directing. The state coaches shows used to be my purview, so football and basketball.
You mean NC State?
NC State,
Oh, okay.
that was my assignment.
Okay.
And we did the Sunday coaches shows. In fact, we changed the way you did coaches shows. We would go, as the equipment evolved, we did a lot of on-location shoots. Probably my favorite time was producing and directing the Jim Bono show.
Wonderful.
And just working with him. I think about him often, how much fun that was. That was one of the shows. And of course, doing news has always been fun, but my greatest joy was doing sports shows
Okay.
and public affairs shows, such as the one that Emily would frequent.
Yes.
And that was the beginning of my involvement with the North Carolina Museum of History.
Okay. All right. Now, most television and radio stations have incorporated social media into their mix these days. What are some of your observations of this new phenomenon?
I guess I say good and bad. Because there's so many other outlets and for people to gather information, I think Capital Broadcasting was in the forefront of that.
Okay.
We have probably one of the most successful online
Presence of the
Oh,
market.
absolutely. And probably in the country, I would say. And so we got in it early, perfected it, brought in some good technical people, moved it ahead of almost anyone in our industry. And
Do we have another question?
We have several questions.
Several questions. We'll be quiet. Just yell out the questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you the easier one first.
Okay.
And then the harder one. I'm not sure. Actually, no, I'm gonna start with Mohammed's. Mohammed Ibrahim wants to know, I'm not sure if this was discussed earlier, you actually didn't, but in what ways do you think that the history of African Americans will be preserved in downtown Raleigh with how downtown seems to be changing? So are you afraid that anything's gonna be wiped away?
I hope not. I'm very optimistic. That is why I'm involved with the African American Culture Center, relocating it to Dorothy Dix Park. Downtown presently is the Pope House, which is on
Is it Black?
Wilmington Street.
Wilmington, okay.
And it is the was the home of Dr. Manassas Pope.
Right.
And the history in there, just to be able a few years ago to walk in that house and walk around his office, his medical office was there, and he was involved. He was, I think, a colonel medical director in the Spanish-American War.
Wow.
So there's a lot of history. He was the first black to run for mayor of Raleigh. Those kind of historical nuggets will need to be preserved.
And this is way before the Civil Rights
Oh,
Movement. It's
way
in the
before.
1800s.
Oh, way
before.
Yeah, yes.
I would love to see other aspects of Raleigh and the history of Raleigh, which I'm familiar with, but a lot of the kids and younger people aren't. But I was familiar with it by being raised where the tradition was storytelling. I had people in my neighborhood, 2 people within 2 houses of my neighborhood who lived to be over 105 years old.
Okay.
And they would tell me history. I met one lady that lived on Hargett Street in downtown Raleigh, when my grandmother would take me to visit her, who reportedly was 118. And she was her parents were slaves.
Right.
So just
And-
to have that kind of history
Oh, yeah.
passed on to you.
And
was
Anna J.
amazing.
Cooper, who is a graduate of St. Aug too, and she was the first African American woman to study at the Sorbonne in France. So a lot
Oh, yeah.
up from the South. But now, give us some more questions because I know we're getting excited. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're running out of time. Okay, this is a more student-centered question. Takiria Wade wants to know, she laughed when you said you started out as an accountant because you are not an accountant now and clearly didn't do it. She wanted to know, after getting your degree, what made you change gears?
Well, I always worked in television, and once you get television in your blood and the way it evolved from, say, cameras the size of a Volkswagen Bug to cameras like a lipstick camera, for example. With this, I had an application when I was working in TV. I could literally go on the air live. I could call in the television station, tell them I was at the scene of a story, and go on the air live with just this camera.
And we're going to get you involved with Eagle Stream and the Michael Eure Show so we can get our students and myself trained.
Speaking about the media and its role in the community environment.
Oh, yes.
Richard Sullins is on here today.
All right.
One of our
one of our big people that
Big
connects
And he wants to know, number one, when's he going to be on this show? And number two, he said, could you please talk about the role of the media in community development, particularly in a region like Wake County that's growing so rapidly?
Well, I can only talk about it from my perspective. I was very fortunate to work with Capital Broadcasting Company and the leader, Jim Goodman. Now his son, he's going to do a great job also. But he always stressed community involvement, and he made our time available for the employees to get involved with the community and encouraged it. My involvement with the Interfaith Food Shelter was born out of that, where I was recruited to go work on that, and just fell in love with it. So if you look at employees of Capital, even to this day, you will see them involved in the community. That was the forefront of our existence, to be involved with the community, not just in this region, well, primarily in this region, but we've spread our tentacles. When I say we, it's like I still work there.
Yes, you do.
Nationally, because
you're an alumnus. Go ahead.
We have, to this day, the oldest scouting program in the country.
Wow.
The longest running scouting program. And those kids who studied television, they have curriculums in school and now here at Wake Tech. But back when we started, they didn't have a way to introduce themselves to the broadcasting field. So the media war, as we put it, is totally involved in the community.
We have any more questions? Okay, so I'm really so
Take that back.
One more.
Question.
It popped up.
Floriana, are there audio or video recordings of some of these historical stories that are not being written? Particular people in their 90s and above that still remember the past history. Do we have any oral, are we recording these oral histories?
I've always encouraged people in their own families. There are plenty of repositories of oral history nationally. Of course, they go around and do recordings. I just read a book on the slave narratives, where people who were slaves were interviewed. So there are absolutely. At Capital Broadcasting Company, you could go to their archive site and see a lot of the old shows, newscasts. So yeah, there are methods of exploring past history.
Yes. And if you have any young people that you're working with, this is a good project for them to go in the community and interview and become part of Eagle Stream, for example, and learn how to use these phones, these smartphones. This is a great project. And Wake Technical Community College is a community college. So we do a lot in the community.
Absolutely.
And we want to do more with you. And we're going to do more with you, just because I know you. Okay?
Wow, that's great.
And I thank you so much, and thank Dr. Rottenberry for producing this show and allowing us to collaborate through student services and the academic side, and through the First in the World. And so thank you so very much. And we're going to wind down, I think, because we've run out of time. We enjoyed you. If you have any additional questions, feel free to call or email. I'm 919-532-5917 or meure@waketech.edu. Once again, thank you for joining us today. And
Thank you, Michael.
All right.